phone rings. Nothing unusual, just a mother receiving a call from her daughter. But within a few hours, that call would leave her family asking a question that shouldn't exist. On the other end of the line, a woman was crying. She sounded terrified. She said she'd been in a car accident. She said she'd hit a pregnant woman. The police were involved, and she needed help immediately. Her mother didn't hesitate because she recognized the voice. In fact, she would later say there was no one on earth who could have convinced her it wasn't her daughter. She knew her daughter's voice, and before the day was over, $15,000 would be gone. That alone would be disturbing enough. But a few months later, on the other side of the world, a company employee would find himself in a situation that seemed impossible. This time, it wasn't a phone call. It was a video meeting. The people on his screen looked familiar. They sounded familiar. And before the meeting was over, millions of dollars had been transferred. Both stories raised the same question. If someone can sound like you and look like you, how do the people who know you best know it's really you? July 2025, Dover, Florida. Sharon Brightwell had no reason to think the call was unusual. At first, it was just her daughter's voice. Then, another voice entered the conversation. A man, calm, professional. He claimed to be handling the situation, and almost immediately, the call changed. It stopped feeling like a family emergency and started feeling official, serious, the kind of situation where people stop asking questions and start listening. And that's exactly what Sharon did. The man identified himself as a public defender. According to him, her daughter was being held after the accident. The situation, he said, was serious, and the consequences could be severe. Every question seemed to have an answer. Why her daughter was crying, why she was calling from a different number, why everything felt so urgent. The caller always seemed to know what to say, and the longer the conversation continued, the less it felt like a scam, and the more it felt like a crisis. Eventually, the conversation moved to the thing the caller appeared to care about most, a solution. The solution, according to the caller, was simple. Sharon's daughter needed bail money, $15,000, and she needed it immediately. The caller gave her specific instructions. Withdraw the money in cash. Don't tell the bank what it's for, and wait at home. Someone would come to collect it. Looking back, every instruction was a warning sign. The urgency, the secrecy, the pressure. But by that point, Sharon wasn't evaluating the instructions. She was trying to help her daughter, so she went to the bank, withdrew the money, and waited for the person she had been told was coming. The person eventually arrived. The money was handed over, and for a while, Sharon believed she had helped her daughter. Then, the story began to fall apart. Later that day, Sharon's grandson got in touch with April, Sharon's daughter, the same daughter who was supposedly in legal trouble. But April wasn't in custody. She wasn't dealing with police. She wasn't in danger at all. She was safe. In that moment, everything changed. The crying voice, the accident, the public defender, none of it had been real. Everything Sharon thought she knew about that phone call suddenly collapsed, which raised an even more unsettling question. If that wasn't her daughter on the phone, then who was? Sharon's family believes the answer may have started long before the phone call itself, online. According to multiple reports, scammers may have taken videos posted to April's social media accounts and used them to recreate her voice, possibly Facebook, possibly Snapchat. The family can't prove it, and investigators haven't publicly confirmed it, but the possibility alone was disturbing, because Sharon wasn't fooled by a stranger pretending to be her daughter. She was fooled by a voice she believed belonged to her daughter. When reporters later asked about the call, Sharon was adamant.
I'm telling you, there was nothing that could have convinced me that that was not my daughter's voice that day.
Not because the story was convincing, because the voice was. Even the emotion sounded real. April would later write that her voice had been AI cloned and sounded exactly like her. Meanwhile, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office warned that scams like these are becoming increasingly sophisticated and harder to trace. The people behind Sharon's call have never been publicly identified, but by that point, the bigger question wasn't who the scammers were. It was what they had managed to do. As Sharon later put it,
The agony I went through that day That's just evil for people to do that to a family.
Then she said something even more revealing.
When I picked up the phone, it was my daughter's voice. It was her crying voice. She was hysterical.
For most people, that would sound like proof. For most of human history, it would have been proof. In this case, it wasn't. And if hearing someone was no longer enough, what would happen when people could see them too? The next case didn't begin with a phone call. It began with an email. Hong Kong, early 2024, a finance employee at a multinational company received a message that appeared to come from the company's chief financial officer. The request was unusual, a large financial transaction, but unlike Sharon, this employee was suspicious almost immediately. According to reports, he initially dismissed the message as a phishing attempt, a scam, and for a moment, it looked like the story might end there. Then, another invitation arrived. This time, it wasn't an email, it was a video meeting. He accepted the invitation and joined the meeting. The meeting seemed to answer every concern he had. On the screen was the company's chief financial officer, the same executive who had supposedly sent the email, but he wasn't alone. Other colleagues were there too, people he had worked with before. The conversation felt normal, businesslike, routine. Nothing about it appeared unusual. The employee later told investigators that everyone in the meeting looked real. They sounded real too, and with every passing minute, the suspicion that it started with the email began to fade. After all, it wasn't just one person, it was an entire meeting, which made what happened next even harder to explain. During the meeting, the employee was given a series of instructions, nothing dramatic, nothing that immediately stood out as suspicious. The requests appeared to come from senior management, and everyone on the call seemed to agree. So the employee followed the directions he was given. One transfer became several. Several became more. According to Hong Kong police, money was sent to multiple bank accounts through a series of transactions. By the time the meeting ended, 15 separate transfers had been completed. More than $25 million had been moved. No alarms, no confrontation, no obvious sign that anything was wrong. Just a routine business meeting. At least that's what the employee believed. Because the moment he tried to verify what had happened, the entire meeting stopped making sense. The problem began when the employee contacted the company's headquarters. What he expected to be a routine follow-up quickly turned into something else. The people at headquarters had no idea what he was talking about. The instructions hadn't come from them, the transfers hadn't been authorized, and the video meeting that had convinced him to move more than $25 million should never have happened in the first place. According to investigators, every person he believed he had seen on that call was fake. Not one of them had actually been there. The chief financial officer, the colleagues, none of them, which transformed the case from a financial fraud into something far stranger. Investigators believe the employee had walked into something far more sophisticated than a traditional scam. The people in the meeting were believed to be AI-generated recreations, digital versions of real employees, people who looked and sounded like colleagues the employee already trusted. Authorities later described the case as one of the first publicly known examples of criminals using deepfake technology on this scale, not to impersonate one person, but an entire group. Police later arrested several people connected to deepfake-related fraud operations, but authorities have not publicly confirmed whether those arrests were linked to this specific case. What is clear is that the attack worked. In Florida, a mother trusted a voice. In Hong Kong, an employee trusted a room full of faces and voices. Different countries, different victims. The same weakness, because the technology wasn't attacking bank accounts. It was attacking something much older. Trust. If there is any good news in all of this, it's that these scams still have one weakness: verification. Not better eyes, not better ears, better habits. The solution may be surprisingly simple. A family password, a phrase that only the people you trust would know. Something that can't be copied from a social media profile. Something that doesn't exist in a video or an audio clip. Others recommend an even simpler rule. Slow down, call back, verify independently, because nearly every scam we've discussed depended on the same thing: urgency. The less time a victim has to think, the more powerful the deception becomes. And sometimes, a single question is enough to expose the entire illusion. For most of human history, a voice was enough, then a face was enough. Now neither may be. And maybe, that's the strange lesson behind all of this. The future won't belong to the people who trust nothing. It will belong to the people who know how to verify. Because somewhere right now, another phone is ringing.